But God, we know that you see all things. So guide them and lead them to make decisions that are pleasing in your eyes and beneficial to the town of Farmville. I pray now in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Smith.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Anybody having business with the town, you will be heard. Citizen presentation, having none, but at the end of the meeting, you'll have an opportunity to ask any questions about anything that you hear in these proceedings tonight. And so again, thank you for that. That brings us down to the town manager's comments. Mr. Hodgkins.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. This will be very brief. We did, as you all know, we had a very good commissioner's retreat last week. Monday and Tuesday, covered a lot of ground. Went through my notes from that meeting this morning, and we did cover a lot of things said that got some action on proceeding in those items. The other thing I wanted to mention is there's something on your agenda later on related to the sculptures that we have placed in town. You may recall that back in 2018, the town started participating in the Down East National Outdoor Sculpture Exhibition, which is the Arts Council. And they display sculptures throughout Pitt County on a rotating basis. And we've hosted at least one since that time. We had our first one installed in 18, and one at the community center every year since. However, we just had another one changed out at the community center last Friday. That'll be with us for 12 months. And the library has had it as a site being sponsored by David and Mary Stone, their family, as well as go by and see those when you get a chance. These sculptures.
Let me say this about the sculpture in front of the library. I think that's brought on more comments. It absolutely, I don't have the right word, but it's good. It's perfect, and people really like it. It says a lot for the library. Anybody have any questions of the town manager? Seeing none, that'll bring us down to the financial report. Anybody have any questions about that? Jay will be with us in a minute. He's going to answer a lot of those questions, I'm sure. It is in your folder. Anybody having a question about that? Seeing none, that will bring us to changes, additions, and deletions to the agenda. Anything that you'd like to add or take off the agenda for tonight? Anyone?
Mayor, I have a couple items I need to consider taking off. Items 5 and 6, which are amendments to the Farmville Library meeting room use policy and also the community center use policy. Those two policies are linked, and so there's a couple of things we need to adjust in those policies that didn't make it before the policy came to the agenda. Simplicity sake and confusion. Diane White and David Miller requested we just take those off until next week.
Okay, board, you've heard the request of town manager that we take off items 5 and 6. We'll see them again at a later date. Could I get a motion?
I'll make such a motion to get items 5 and 6 on the agenda.
Board, you've heard the motion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Items 5 and 6 will be deleted from the agenda. Anybody else having anything else concerning deletions or add to the agenda tonight? Seeing none, is there a motion that we accept the agenda as presented with the removal of items 5 and 6?
I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Commissioner Hobbs has made the motion that we accept the agenda as presented. Any questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The motion any noes? The motion carries. At this time, item H on your agenda, it is time for a public hearing. It is an ordinance to amend Chapter 157 of the Code of Ordinances to add a daycare center as a special exception in the residential R15 district. Justin, I think you got this. And I think there's a representative that's requesting this tonight.
Mayor, Commissioners, as mentioned, this hearing is for a special exception request. Linda Cashman's requested to amend the zoning ordinance to include a daycare center as a special exception in the R15 residential district. Request has been made to amend the ordinance to include the above referenced use as a special exception. Currently, the ordinance does have a definition of the proposed use, which is a daycare center. However, this use is not listed under either permitted or special exceptions in the R15 district, which is the district of the potential location in which she's looking at and operating this daycare center, with that location being the old American Legion building at 3444 Bottom Drive. So the proposed amendment would allow for the applicant to submit a special exception application to operate a daycare center at the current American Legion building. One thing I do want to make clear, any action taken tonight by the board would not constitute approval of a daycare center. This would just make it so that the applicant could apply for the special exception. So before we could get to that point where the board of adjustment could hear that, we would have to add that as a special exception under the ordinance. That's what the request is in front of you tonight. The R15 residential district does not currently allow daycare centers as either permitted or special exception, as I mentioned. The American Legion, which currently rents the building out for banquets and events, was grandfathered in under the current ordinance and is currently a legal non-conforming use. And due to the restrictive nature of the uses in the R15, it would be difficult to find an allowable use currently listed in the ordinance to locate at the property being considered by the applicant. With that being said, that's why I would recommend at this point, based off of the uses that are allowed in the district, as well as I mentioned, the difficulty of finding another use to occupy this building, that the board do consider approving this as a special exception. Again, with the special exception, this is different than being a permitted use by right. This would not open up any property that's on R15 to being eligible to operate a daycare. As a special exception, it would be a case-by-case basis that would have to go to the Board of Adjustment to be considered by that board. So at this point, with that being said, our staff recommendation would be to approve the text amendment to allow daycares in the R15 as a special exception. I'll take any questions that you may have at this point, and also if you have any questions of the applicant. As the mayor mentioned, she is here this evening as well.
Anybody? This is a public hearing. Anyone that would have any questions of Justin? Any questions of Justin?
Was there any comments or concerns from any of the adjoining residents?
This has not been advertised to them yet. Again, this will not be advertised. It will begin the actual process for the special exception process until it's added to the ordinance as a special exception. At that point, as soon as this board were to approve that, this amendment, we would then begin the advertisement and go through that process. I do know, and the applicant can speak a little more to it, I believe she has spoken with a few of the neighbors in the neighborhood there, and so far the reception has generally been a good one from my understanding.
Anybody else have a question of Justin? Justin, stay close by. This is a public hearing. It is open. Anyone that would like to speak, Linda, if you'd like to speak, now's the time. You're more than welcome. Anybody have a question of Linda? Seeing none, Linda, thank you so much for being here. Anyone else that would like to speak to this? Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll close this public hearing. And Justin, I'll ask that you come back and just in case. Board, do you have any questions, comments, and or motions? And what you're looking at is to conduct the hearing to make a decision on the ordinance amending 157 and the code ordinance for the town. And Justin, before we move forward, once again explain what happens if the board votes in favor of this. What happens then?
If the board votes in favor of this, at that point the applicant could then submit her special exception request, because this would then be a listed use under special exceptions. This would then begin the process of going to the Board of Adjustment, who would ultimately make the decision on whether or not to allow the daycare center to operate at the location in question.
Okay. Will it be coming back to the board if the,
No, this will not come back to this board. Special exceptions, those decisions are made exclusively by the board.
okay, one more time. Anybody got a question of Justin? Commissioner Dixon, you want to weigh in on this?
I just would like permission from the board to abstain from the voting. I'm working for Ms. Ketchman in her purchase of the building.
Commissioner Dixon would like to be excused from the vote. Is there a motion to excuse him from the vote?
I'll make that motion that we excuse him from the vote.
Commissioner Elster made a motion that Commissioner Dixon be excused from the vote. Any questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Commissioner Dixon, you will be excused from the vote. Now, is there a motion?
I will make the motion that we approve I think, help me with the
Amending
wording.
Chapter 157.
Okay, amending Chapter 157. Thank you. I could not think of the word amend.
Does that give you the motion that you need to move forward? Or is there any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations and good luck. Thank you, Justin. This concludes that public hearing. That will move us down now for items for decision and discussion. And if you notice, there's a little change tonight because there's only one thing concerning the minutes of the last meeting, as we'll go there. Anybody have a question about the minutes, or is there a motion that we approve?
Make such a motion.
Commissioner Smith has made a motion that we accept the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. That brings us down to our dear friend Jay for the presentation of the audit report for the fiscal year. Jay, welcome back. Thank you for all you do for Farmville. You've served us many, many years, and we thank you for that. The room is yours, sir.
Thank you. I may need some assistance if I get right ahead. But thank y'all for having us here tonight. I'm here with your June 30th audit results. We performed the audit back around Christmas and early January. Because of COVID, you were allowed till January 31st to have your audit submitted. We got it submitted on time. However, half of the state submitted their reports that same day, and we just heard from this on Friday. So on Friday, they approved it and allowed me to put the cover on it so I could bring it tonight. So this has been reviewed and approved by the local government. Each of you has the bound audit report, and I'm going to choose to go through some slides rather than the report. But this year you had both a financial audit and a compliance audit. Because of the Basin 5 sewer project and some of the state funding that you got for that project, you had what's called a single audit. So in addition to looking at your numbers and issuing an opinion on your financials, we had to look at your controls over how you handle the state money. The good news is we issued an unmodified opinion on your financials. That's the highest form of opinion that you can issue. When it comes to the single audit of the sewer funds, we actually found one item that was a compliance violation that I will go through at the end, but it basically had to do with timing of when you drew down money. You had 3 days to spend it, and in some instances you didn't get it spent within the 3 days. So in the very back of your bound audit report, there's details of that I'll go over.
Jay, with that, to ask a question, I'm sure this just popped up in the board's mind. Was that related to COVID in any way?
No.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Okay, I'm going to start out by addressing fund balance. Okay, fund balance. Okay, your fund balance for the current year, you had a surplus in the general fund. So your fund balance has gone up from 35% to 46%. The local government commission requires a minimum. They suggest 24 plus. So you all, your fund balance is in good shape. And you're going to add it to that in the current year.
Jay, is that the highest we've seen in 30 years or more?
I've been here that long, but I'm not going to swear to it, but you're in.
I'm in the neighborhood.
Areas you've been. I'm not
Thank you, sir.
gonna say it's absolutely the highest, but you have definitely been trending that way for a while. So your fund balance is in good shape.
The town's books are made up basically of a general fund, and then you have water, sewer, and electric, which are called enterprise funds. So the dark blue box is your general fund, light blue is your enterprise. And I say analysis of revenues, over and under expenditures before transfer. Well, your funds operate. I mean, you adopt a budget, you operate within your budget. Then you make some transfers from your enterprise fund to the general fund to cover costs like the town manager, your administration. So this is what things look like before you made those transfers. And you had a small deficit in the general fund, small profit in the enterprise fund. And then the next slide is after you made the transfer to basically reimburse the general fund for administrative costs, you then ended up with a little over $200,000 surplus in the general fund, deficit in the enterprise fund. The electric fund, again, it was just about break even before it made its transfer to the general fund, and then it ended up at a deficit. These transfers, you all, some time ago, you had a study done that determined what you should be reimbursing the general fund for things like administration and cost and so forth. That study, it's just, I don't know that we know how old it is, but it's probably 20 plus years. And I'm going to say, after you look at the trend of the decline in your enterprise funds tonight, it's basically the funds are operating okay until they have to reimburse for overhead and general administrative expenses. It may be indicating that your enterprise funds need to be addressed, but I'm also going to tell you probably need to get your study redone and make sure that the funds that we are reimbursing for water, sewer, and electric in general are accurate, because I think it's been 20 plus years since that study was performed. These numbers may be too high, they may be too low. But I would suggest y'all get that on your agenda to probably get that study redone to evaluate what it's costing you that the enterprise funds need to share in and reimburse the general fund. Because the funds are operating kind of at break even until they have to pay their share of the general administrative costs, and then it's bringing them to a deficit. So that's what the electric fund looks like, after it reimburses the general fund.
David, how long has it been since we've had a utility increase?
Electric has been, we had a water increase. Water's the only thing that increased.
Electric, you actually decreased the cost a few years back.
We did, and somewhere along the way, I think people might have forgotten that. Because you're where we are right now, I'm just trying to get a good understanding of because when you start talking about water and utilities, the first thing, they're going up, but we haven't gone up in a very, very long time. I mean, it cost me 22 cents an hour for utility, for electric, and I don't know where I'm gonna get that any cheaper. So carry on, please.
But you see what's happening in the electric.
Right.
I mean, you just steadily, your profit has declined.
That's because we haven't had an increase in. Please clear that up for me.
You may be getting this too, but if you look at this far right, that's 2020. The reimbursements were made in January or early February typically. Okay, remember what was happening in February and then what happened the next month in March 2021, the bottom side. So we didn't know that we were going to have moratoriums on disconnection. So I think the number on the far right is correct, but that's probably worse than it would normally be because of COVID. A lot of that revenue reported last week with the tree is coming in this year. So a lot of it last year, what you would have gotten last year's revenue really would be more, it would be disconnected. It's probably going to be coming back this year.
Clearly, going from 19 to 20, there was the several months that you could not collect, late
Right.
disconnects and so forth. So that actually is, yes, that's helping
But that will change the complexion of that.
a little bit, yes.
Okay.
But still, it doesn't change that.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
And all, as we look at water, sewer, and electric, what David just said would be the case.
Right, okay.
Okay, let's look at water. Water, again, this is, you operated at just a slight, decrease, and you're not doing a whole lot of transfer from water because of the way it's operated. But again, you see, down the trend. I mean, all this is sort of indicating to me it might be time to look at rates. Again, regardless of the outcome of the study, it's clear you've got people in positions in the administration that are doing things for these departments, and some transfers have to be made. But so that's how your water goes. And then sewer. Okay, your sewer, we got a really, sewer actually has gotten to be just a little bit profitable. What you got going on here is you've had a sludge drying unit.
The gift that keeps on giving, right?
You got a $1.6 million loss on a sludge drying unit.
Would you say that one more time, real slow? Don, I want you to get this. Say that one more time, Jay.
Sewer sludge drying unit.
How much?
The $1.6 million loss.
Okay.
And your loss here is, you would have had basically a $40,000 loss without that extraordinary item. And David can probably fill you in on the facts better than I, but I think you paid roughly about $3 million for this item. I don't really know that I can say why it wasn't usable or why you had to get rid of it.
Oh, it worked 2 times?
Well, it's still being paid for.
Yeah.
Still about $4.5
on something on
How much more do we have on it?
about $450 or somewhere between $450 and $500,000 that you're still servicing debt on. And you paid, I'm gonna say it's 2.9, right at $3 million, and you sold it for $185,000.
That's just pitiful that
But-
a previous
Say it.
whatever put us in this position that our citizens have had to carry on this debt. I've been here 5 years, and it was about a long time before I came here, and to know that every citizen in the town of Farmville has had to suck up that $3 million for something that worked 2 days.
Well, and you will continue to pay for it to that debt.
And I think if I was told correctly, the engineers told them that it wouldn't work to begin with, and they still bought it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But so
Still
if
sad.
you take that out, you were really operated at just a small deficit. But again, the trend in the 3 enterprise funds are that you probably need to address rates. And again, it has been some time. Now, you're in solid footing, you're in good shape. I'm not saying that, you need to panic, but you need to have this study redone and evaluate rates all, probably need to get the study done first to get a good idea of what's required, and then see what that's going to do to your rates. We usually talk to you about the light blue line. Y'all got over $60 million of assets, tanks, transformers, power lines, wells. You've got over $65 million worth of enterprise assets. The middle line is the useful life that's been used up based on, what we think the life's going to be. The dark box is the cash that you've set aside. So ideally, as the assets were out, this line would be used up. You'd be setting money aside to replace it. You're like no different than any other county. You're not 100% funded in this area, and you're relying on hopefully you'll get some grants or some low interest funding. But it doesn't take much of a repair to get in the $200,000 range. So again, when you're setting those rates, not only do we need to keep that line positive, but you need to be setting aside a little extra to deal with repairs. So this just sort of shows you, that cash available sort of compared to useful life and stuff. That's just something we like to keep on the radar. But you're in as good shape as any town. Property tax collection rate, you're at 49 cents per hundred. That just shows you the state average, and y'all haven't had an increase in property taxes.
22,
Long.
22 years,
22 years.
give or take.
And your collection rate is 95.45, and that's as of June 30th. I mean, people continue to pay even after June 30th, but, you know, for the bills that were issued in August or September, you know, due by January 6th, you know, we're at June 30th, so you had collected approximately 95% of those bills as of June 30th. State average is 98. You all do a pretty good job of collecting all the taxes you can, just take advantage of net set off, and, you know, grabbing folks refunds, doing all you can to get that collected. But you write off very little tax by the time the 10-year statute comes in. But that just shows you compared to the state average. And you'll see you have, you know, $334 million worth of property generating about $1.6 million of property tax revenue. So that's just a 5-year trend of the valuation and the levy that is generated. That's about okay, the one finding, again, when you have over $750,000 of state or federal money, you have to have a single audit.
Okay.
And you have to have a single audit. We come in and we dig into that program. You know, the state auditors give us an audit supplement, and we get into the nuts and bolts of how you administer those funds. So the sewer project was state WWSRP money. You had spent about $2.1 million of that on the Basin 5 sewer project, I think it's another project. And as you spend money, you draw it out from the state, it hits your bank account. You have 3 days to disperse it and pay the bills for which you drew it. We found 3 incidents, well, actually 4 incidences where you drew the money down and it sat in your bank account more than 3 days before it was dispersed to the contractors. I don't know all the reasons behind it all. We just, you know, we're notating the days. I mean, the funds have been spent for what they're supposed to be spent. I mean, the bills got paid. There was just more than a 3-day lag in between y'all get the money into account and you actually writing the check. One time there was 8 days, 1 7, 1 11, and then there was one expenditure, and it says not paid to date. Well, we were in here in like middle of January, so that was on the 8th. So, I mean, I'm sure it's been paid now, but this had to be listed as a finding. It would go to the, you know, state agency that issues the money. And I think, again, we found no evidence of money not being spent for what it was intended to be, just a timing issue. I think what they'll do, they normally put you on a pay first and then reimburse when you don't follow this rule. And you had this issue with a CDBG project 2 or 3 years ago, and I think everybody thought y'all were actually on a pay it first and then get the money. But you weren't. So somehow they were letting you go ahead and operate like normal. You know, about the worst thing they're going to probably do is say, next time you pay the bill with your money and then we'll reimburse you, rather than you get our money. And
I might add, we would prefer that we thought we were doing that. Yeah, because we don't have a cash flow problem, so we would rather just go ahead and spend it and then get a reimbursement. The problem is that they reimburse us, they make direct deposits into our account, and oftentimes we don't know that they've done it. Certain days later, so, because they don't alert you when it's going to your account. Yeah, they used to send it back.
They would say it's going to be in your account X days. They don't do that anymore.
But now you have to have somebody monitoring it every day, the county see if the state by chance put something in there. Labor intensive.
Take an email notification, it's simple to do.
But we actually prefer to be reimbursed. That way we never.
But that's the only finding you have in your article. I mean, so that's great. You previously have had a finding for the last so many years about us having to write your audit report. The government auditing standard changed in the fall of 19 and required that you have somebody in-house that can write the report, or you have to hire somebody to do it. What we did this year, we partnered with a CPA in Pink Hill who does a lot of governmental audit work, and we put your report together, but then she sort of took it, reviewed it, signed off on Amy's behalf, and by using her, we were able to get rid of that finding that y'all had in your audit report for the last 10 or 12 years.
Okay.
So there's a finding that's gone, and that was alleviated by just using another CPA to sort of take ownership of the financials on y'all's behalf, even though we, work together.
Jay, on the utility rates and the water rates that you speak of, that's a hot topic in any town and anywhere. And David spoke of how we dealt with the COVID situation that was dealt to us. In the past 18 months, Paul Ellis gave us a report the other day that we had 75 dwellings in Farmville. Is that correct, Paul? New dwellings, counting the apartments and everything? 12 new houses?
Probably higher than that.
Okay. What effect does that have on us? Even we're buying more, we're paying more, we're using, I mean, is that enough to make any difference here as we move forward?
I mean, as large as your revenues are in these funds, I mean, that would be a minuscule
Right.
percentage. I mean, I don't know that would play a large.
Okay.
I think you gotta go back and get your study done, find out what your true reimbursements need to be from these enterprise funds, and then take some of these trends and just look at what, they say it, look at what rates may take to get you where you're at least breaking even. And again, probably a little more set aside just for repairs.
Right.
But again, overall, you're sound, funds in good shape, fund balance is above where, required. I mean, luckily you're in a position to take your time and address it.
Before opening it up for questions, 46%, how does that put us with our neighbors across the board?
You're as high as any neighbor town that we're aware of.
Well, before opening it up, board, I want to thank you. This is the highest fund balance I've ever seen, 13 years. Mr. Hodgkins, thank you for being frugal. Thank you for that. And Jay, thanks for being on our team, and I hope you're with us for many years because I appreciate your frankness in letting us move forward, and we will take it under advice about that study. With that being said, I'll now open the board for any questions you may have, and I'll start with Bert. Bert?
No, I don't think I have any questions.
Okay. Anybody have any questions of Jay at this time? Anybody?
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Amy and her staff.
Amy does a great job.
They work hard. Again, we were all dealing with this year, COVID and delays. I mean, I'm here a little later, but I couldn't make last month's meeting because of
Right.
the engagements I had. But, I mean, everybody worked hard to get it done. She's experienced turnover in the last few years. And I think about to get things back. I mean, but we appreciate y'all's help to get the audit done.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you very much. And if there are no more questions of Jay, thank you for being thorough. Thank you for working with us and answering questions all while your crew's here. Thank you for that, and we look forward to working with you in the years to come. Thank you, sir.
It has been approved by the NRGC, so y'all can actually vote to accept it tonight.
Okay. With that being said, is there a motion that we accept the audit report as presented by Ms. J. Parrish? Is there a motion? Okay, Commissioner Smith has made the motion that we approve and accept the audit report as presented. David, Chris, do I need a second on this one by any chance?
Sure, go ahead.
I mean, sometimes we do. Is there a
second the
second,
motion.
please? I have a second. That is unusual. I'll explain that in a moment. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. For the benefit of those in our young scout tonight, most of the time we don't ask for a second since we are such a small board. And so that's on certain things we do. And that's why I asked the question of this one being what it is. That's why we asked the question of the second. Jay, thank you so much. That'll bring us down to item number 4. Thank you, sir. Lori Drake is here with the Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center to give us a report on chamber activities, and this will be an FYI. Ms. Drake, it's always a pleasure to see you, and thanks for being here.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be here, nice to be back, and I appreciate the time tonight. I just wanted to let you know what the Chamber's been doing these past few months. Due to COVID, we obviously couldn't have most of our regular events, but we've stayed busy and productive, and that's what I wanted to share with you tonight. First, we've been running ads and commercials. We ran a full-page ad in our state magazine in December, and they featured Farmville in a wonderful 4-page story. So staff time was taken to coordinate this effort, design and develop the ad, work with our state representatives to help us get that ad published. At the same time, we were working to recruit 29 businesses that participated in that ad, which made it a win-win situation. They were able to afford an ad in a prestigious magazine, and it was great exposure for Farmville. And we're still seeing the results of that. I've had at least a dozen people come into my office, even during COVID, that are visitors from out of town, read about Farmville, they came to visit. In fact, we saw one couple walking down Main Street with our state magazine, make sure that they saw everything that was in the article. But I'm anticipating that with the weather getting better and the COVID situation getting better, you will have even more people visiting that have read and been informed about Farmville and coming to visit our town. Our marketing efforts also featured, we were featured on Henry Hitton's Talk of the Town radio show. Some of our businesses in the chamber ran during that time. We also were featured in some commercials on Anthony Stand and a full-page ad in Farmville magazine. So we're really getting the word out there about Farmville. We're also working to revamp our digital presence. We've reached out to someone who helps with search engine optimization to make sure that every time Farmville comes up on any digital format, it's in a very professional manner that presents us well. We're revamping the website, new banner pictures, photo story, lead mission statement, and our businesses in the market featured on the homepage. And the whole goal, we're also updating the chamber in the news page. And the whole goal is to make it so that as a small one-person office, we can keep that website as up-to-date and current as possible. We're also recruiting new chamber members. We've been very fortunate to have 10 new chamber members, and we're renewing our memberships, and that's done very well. We're also reaching out to chamber members, especially during this time of COVID. We want to stay very much in communication with our businesses. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to have our networking business after hours events, and we really haven't even been able to have ribbon cutting ceremonies. Most of our businesses want to wait until they become a larger gathering to do that. But we are meeting in small groups to, when we have our business of the month recognition, you all are welcome if that ever fits into your schedule. Those are small, and so that's worked out well. It's a way for us to recognize the businesses that do so much for our community. And a new class designed for that, and those are going extremely well. And that is our primary goal, to help and support our businesses in any way that we can. We have increased our communication through the constant contact email. Anytime that I get any information, especially from the Small Business Administration, about financial assistance or about ways to help businesses, I make sure that that information is out. I send out a monthly constant contact newsletter to keep people informed. Communicate with several of our partner organizations on a regular basis, post on social media, and plan to conduct monthly web meetings so that we can continue to move forward, and when appropriate, I participate in Zoom meetings. We're also in the process of raising funds. We have a license plate fundraiser. The license plate commemorates Farmville's 150th anniversary. And the proceeds from that, some of that will be used to cover the cost of downtown maps that will highlight historic sites and artistic sites. We're partnering with the library right now working on those maps.
Can you take any questions? Anybody got a question of Mr. Drake? Anybody?
What are your goals going forward for next year? Do you have any target things?
Yes, well, we're hoping, and depending on what happens with COVID, but we're hoping we can get back to those networking business events. Obviously, we'd love to have a taste of Farmville. One of the brochures we're working on is, it would actually be designed as Hometown Happenings calendar, and so we're trying to coordinate all the main events that happen from our businesses and nonprofits, and so we can have all those in one place. And one of the most interesting brochures we're working on is right before COVID happened. If you look around, we had so many classes and seminars and workshops from the coffee, the gas station, Arts Council, the library, and we put them all in one brochure and with inserts so that we have it highlighted when these classes happen, where they take place, and that's just another way that we're trying to really advertise the fact that we are a very active community. So until COVID is over, we continue just to find ways that we can reach out to our businesses and help them as much as we can.
Anybody else?
Of course, we'll still do that after COVID, but
Right.
during this time is when it's so important that we try to stay.
For Commissioner Shackford, last week we had an opportunity to go to what was the Cannons building for a long time, and now it's Hicks Fashions, and standing there, had an opportunity to count the number of clothing stores that used to be in Farmville, and turns out that's the second oldest business on Main Street now. And for old timers like us, that means a lot, and it's been a clothing store since way before we were. They really have. And I think being the business of the month was well deserving, and I thank you for that. Thank you for all you're doing, and we look forward to the chamber being more involved with some things that the town will be moving on in the coming year. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love the license plate, by the way. Thank you. Hold. Does every board member have one of those yet?
Hey, but I want to buy one.
Make sure they get one. I'm having mine framed over at Just Right Laser, so thank you very much, Laura. Thank you. Item 5 and 6 were removed tonight, and that brings us down to item 7, the Pitt County Arts Council to approve the amendment for placement of the exhibition of public art on public properties in Farmville. David, you got this? Okay.
This is basically what we've been doing since we started participating in the program back in 2018. However, I think they just decided they needed to formalize things into this written agreement. So everything in this agreement we've been doing, the only exception is that we in the past did not provide insurance for culture, and now that is required. But as far as the other money, that's all we've been included in the budget. This is just a formal agreement.
Anybody got any questions of David on this? Any questions? Seeing none, or is there a motion, questions, or a motion that we accept this?
I'll make a motion that we accept this proposal.
All right. Commissioner Elson made a motion that we approve the agreement for the placement of the exhibition of public art on public properties, including us carrying the insurance on it. Any questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you for that. That brings us down to item number 9.
8.
8, sorry. How did I get ahead of myself? Number 8, I'm a little excited. I'll ask that our recreation director please come forward with this. Please.
Good evening. It's a great opportunity to, with our department today, with previous input and support from the community plus our commissioners. Farmville Parks and Recreation would like to add a new amenity of a new splash pad to bring the old public pool to town. With that being said, we have the J.Y. Monk Park right across the street, the Little Red School, and the Boys and Girls Club as well. In addition, in the future, it's a possibility to have expansion of the splash pad, as well as there's enough area to where we can add additional playground equipment out and recreate and also create memories with their families and friends, especially during this time with the unforeseen COVID-19. And this is just a short video and pictures of what the splash pad specifically for Farmville would look like. And I think this is a great opportunity for the community to come together and enjoy recreating.
I want to thank you and your team for the work and the effort and the research that went into this. And it has been an ongoing project for quite some time, and we utilized every minute that we could to work on this project, and I thank you for that. Board, do you have any questions? Any questions?
Ready to make a motion?
Commissioner Elks is ready to make a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we accept the Recreation Department's plans for the splash pad, and we authorize the, all the work that needs to be done to make this happen within the next several months, that it happen, and be ready for July.
You've heard the motion that we approve the addition of the splash pad. Location, plan from Commissioner Elps. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations, the splash pad. Depending on the weather, we will wait for you to tell us when this goes online. And thank you, and Wes and Brian and everybody in the town that has worked on this diligently for how long, Isaiah? March of last year? That's right. So thank you so much for that, and thank you for what you're doing for us. Thank you so much. Congratulations, and thank you for that, board. Now we can go to number 9, right?
Yep.
All right. Number 9. Pitt County Board of Commissioners has formed a new Human Relations Commission. The purpose of the commission is outlined in having 21 members. The county has asked the town of Farmville to submit a name and resident of Farmville consideration of appointment of Pitt County Board of Commissioners to the new Human Relations Commission. And board, I would like very much to serve on that if it's the pleasure of the board.
Well, I would nominate you to serve on that.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith has nominated me to serve on that board, and I have about 40-some years of experience on boards like this, and I will not disappoint you, and I will report and keep you in the loop as best. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. I will work and keep you informed of that. The next item, Young Scout, is this part of your merit badge to be here tonight?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. With that being said, that brings us down to citizen comments. Anybody having any questions, comments about anything you've seen or heard tonight? Has been a very productive night. Anybody having any questions on anything you've seen tonight? Anybody? Seeing none, I will go around and ask each commissioner for some closing comments. Dr. Hobbs, I will start with you, please.
Well, I thought tonight was very productive as well, and I